Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is our second video, the second chapter of our armies for specific battles for the 100 Years' War. This time we're gonna discuss about the Battle of Agincourt and the Battle of Verneuil. This era is called the Lancastrian era because of Henry V, and it's a very different era in many ways than the early part of the 100 Years' War, Crécy and Poitiers, where we focused last time using my Claymore Casting armies. My armies are based predominantly on Perry miniatures. I think are the best for this period, although there are many manufacturers, obviously, and they are all very, very beautiful minis, but I preferred Perry. I started with Perry. I think they're very, very beautiful, and they portray the era perfectly well. So what we see as a difference here, now obviously the armor, the helms, the weapons have changed dramatically. You see now the knights, even the lesser man-at-arms, are like armored tanks. You have the French and the English deploying on foot. The French change their stance. They're deploying now on foot, and they have a small amount of mounted knights that support them in the flanks, or as in Verneuil, the Italian Lombard knights who attacked in the center. In general, we have armored knights, we have heavily armored infantry with bits and pieces of plate. You can see here from the 4 miniatures in the process of painting. We don't have any shields. The shields were abandoned because of the quality of the armor. We have very robust weapons, double-handed weapons in general. And you can see this from the arrow, the red arrow. These are lances that they were cut shorter in order to use them in hand-to-hand combat on foot. In general, we see armored knights. We will have obviously returners. We will obviously have heavy infantry, but all of them would have had a much more robust look than in the previous era. You see here how you paint the knights. We have very, very little chainmail. We have a few shields, although you will see from the photographs I am putting shields because I like them. I think they give extra color, and the heraldry of the shields creates a very beautiful feel to the army. Now, if you go to the heavy infantry, this is European infantry I used, you see a very different style, although they're heavily armored as well. What you do with these guys to make them look different is you don't have to paint them with color, you don't have to paint them with heraldry, you don't put visors, you have open helms, because in this way, although many of the miniatures are alike their noble counterparts, in the way you paint a miniature, you can make him look, make the miniature look if he's, a man-at-arms or a lower-ranking man-at-arms, or they are, higher-ranking nobles. I like these miniatures. I like them a lot because they have a variety. They have different helms. They have different armor, bits and pieces here and there. They're very irregular. And I think they can portray perfectly infantry, heavy infantry, lower-ranking nobles of the later part of the 100 Years' War. I think they add a lot in the army, and if you mix them with, as you can see here, maybe similar miniatures, but you can see here the golden details, and now you see the difference in colors immediately when you saw the heavy infantry. When you are mixing them together, I think you can create very nice spaces with these people being retainers or not man-at-arms, professional man-at-arms that are beside their high-ranking nobles. Again, color plays a very important role, as you can see here, in order to exaggerate a noble or a normal, professional soldier. You see some lighter troops, militia troops, that can be added also, the Pavisiers there. But and so you can mix a little bit your bases and make them more interesting. But in general, I think the period is very heavy infantry, heavy armored specific. You need all the troops would have been probably very heavily armored, because during the battles, even lower ranking nobles or professional soldiers would have found bits and pieces from the dead, from their opponents, and they would have added them, some maybe in the leg greaves they would have, or some bits and pieces of plate in general. So The French basically fought dismounted. This was a common practice, although it didn't help them at all until the latter part of the Hundred Years' War. And the English were always in a defensive position, flanked by Longbow. So we continue with our infantry, and you see that although I'm using shields, they're not necessary, and but using colors and the helms and all the plate that you have, it's a totally different feel from the feel that is given from the early part of the Hundred Years' War. It's an acquired taste. I like both periods. I think both have their beauty in a way. But again, I have a little bit soft spot for the early part of the Hundred Years' War. So with these miniatures of the heavy infantry, now you can mix them around and make a little bit variety instead of having only knights. So now for the mounted, as I said, they were in the pitched battles. They had the secondary role. They had a specific, let's say, aim to destroy the longbowmen in Agincourt, and the same. The Italians attacked the English. You see them very heavily armored. You see now the barding is very different. You have bits and pieces of plate and chainmail. You don't have this cloth barding that you found in the early part of the Hundred Years' War. Again, obviously, the mounted knights would have been the best, the most high-ranking nobles, heavily armored. They would have had a shield protecting from arrows, but you see here the big difference. Although you can have, for mounted also, troops that look a little bit less armored, like these beautiful knights. Again, color plays very important role, color and heraldry, for you to depict how that this are nobles, and maybe simple colors, or one color shade for knights that have been the retainers, the supporters, the professional men at arms. Again, shields, as I said, give, I think, they create a very beautiful effect, and I think they're always welcomed, and I always like putting shields in my armies. So you see here mounted French knights and English knights, how formidable they look, and I think the poses of Perry are beautiful. But again, you will see in the upcoming slide that it's good to mix them around and to give them a little bit variety by using some lower ranking mounted knights, if this is exact expression. You see here how different they are, although there could be similar miniatures. You see, if you use earthy, mundane, if I can put this word, colors, simple colors without heraldry, although these guys, you see, they're very heavily armored. They have plate, they have everywhere plate from on the legs, and the very nice helmets. You see immediately the difference, though, by the colors you will give with the mounted knights. Obviously, you will have mounted archers and crossbowmen and hobbilers that would play an important role. Again, if we go to crossbowman, you see bits of plate on the legs here and there, more robust. They can be used for earlier period and vice versa. Obviously, the crossbows were more up to date, were more the better weapons than the crossbows you would have used in Baron's War, for example, or the early part of the Hundred Years' War. But again, crossbowman, Gabinsums, normal cloth, nothing totally different. Big difference from earlier eras. The same with longbowmen. You see them. Again, Gabinsons. The helms are obviously different. It's the design intent also of the Perry miniatures. You cannot compare it directly to the Claymore Castings or other miniature manufacturers. But again, what we are coming back to is that crossbowmen, longbowmen, missile troops, militia troops didn't have a huge change from these different periods because you had almost the same type of armor, if you can say, cloths, and but bits and pieces of plate, most probably in the latter part of the Hundred Years' War. Again, very beautiful archers from Perry miniatures. I'll go a little bit to Pavisiers. Pavisiers is a unit that you can use. It was specifically designed to attack longbowmen with great success in some battles. They can be combined with crossbowmen. They cannot be combined too much with other miniatures because they were a specific unit fighting together to protect the crossbowmen or protect themselves and attack the longbowmen. And in the latter part of the Hundred Years' War, they were not a very common unit. And then we have the the Scots who played a very important role in Verneuil. I try to mix them around. I wouldn't put the Scots in the best armor. You see, I have heavy infantry, I have a little bit lighter infantry, and I have armored knights that could be part of the Scottish contingent in France. It was actually a big contingent in the Battle of Verneuil. They were the best trained and the best warriors. They will have men at arms, but you can see I'm mixing them around. Uh, as heavy infantry and with some spears and some obviously high ranking knights. So this is from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. You see the beautiful effects that the Perry means to create. I have photographs from Perry Plastics and Perry Metals. I think it's another great era that you can war game and enjoy. A lot of color and some really great battles to fight for this Lancastrian period of the war. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me your feedback in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.